intro song? Or?
We might.
You know what? Sing along with me. Yeah, that's it.
Don't worry, I just added the harmony.
I know.
So
It was beautiful.
We're good. And welcome, KP.
thank you for having me.
Thank
Good
you
to
for
have
coming.
you. So, how long in Australia now? For the second time, right?
Just over a year. I got back in August last year.
Back to Canberra,
Back to Canberra.
and then up here in February.
End of February, yeah. Moved up here.
How's that? How was that been?
It's good. I think like moving, I mean, my life has shifted so much in the past like 4 years, 5 years, I would say. Even just like moving to Canada, then being uncertain if you're staying in Canada, then moving back, then having plans to do things in Canberra, sorry. And then it's like, oh no, those plans have kind of fallen through. All right, let's go
coming back to Canberra, those plans have fallen through.
Oh, like, I mean, once you're in Canberra.
Oh,
Then, yeah, we had some plans. They kind of fell through. Then we were like, oh, what do we do now? Like, we don't have a church community. That's a big part of life.
Yeah.
Like, just walking with Jesus. So then Ben was like, we want you to move up to Gold Coast and be a part of Gold Coast Chapel with Marshall and Rochelle. And we've known you guys for a long time anyway. We're close, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that transition, yeah.
And then so moving up here, like you sort of have an expectation.
No,
Yeah.
I had no expectations.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Okay, that's good. But then COVID hits,
Oh,
and
yeah.
and we just, it just gets real small for you.
Yeah. Well, actually, it wasn't all bad for me because I feel like my life didn't change a heap. The only thing that changed was like I wasn't going to like see everyone on Sunday, but I didn't even really know many people on a Sunday. So I was like, oh, going to a small church is like everyone I know anyway, so it's fine.
How long were you here before we went into like lockdown?
I think I was here for like 3 weekends.
Oh my gosh.
3-4 weekends, and then I went to Katrina couples church every week, like small group, because that's our area.
Because we could still do that. Well, that's
Oh yeah, what did we do? Like a couple weeks online, and then we did.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I spilled my communion.
Boom, boom.
That was the best thing that's
we
ever
were
happened
laughing
in
about
my
that the
life.
other day. Everyone loved it. It was so good.
Oh
Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, that was a transition.
So a couple weeks and then straight into isolation.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was only a couple weeks of online church, and then we were able to get together again in small groups, which was nice.
And I'm studying online, so I wasn't really affected.
Yeah.
I think and I'm a bit of an introvert, so I don't mind spending a lot of time by myself.
Yeah, cool.
I mean, I like balance, like I have to spend time with people, but I have to also recharge by myself. But living in the house dynamic, that's like funny because Aiden is like 95% extroverted. Josh is like 95% introverted, and I'm like the balance.
Yeah.
And so I would spend one night with Aiden, but that is like
Spending-
That's a month.
10 weeks.
He's just like, oh, like I haven't seen you all week, and I'm like, yeah, but I'm hanging out with you now.
I've been hiding from
And
you.
he's like, yeah, but that's not enough.
He's the
And so he would just live in the living room until one of us was like in the kitchen, so he could be like,
comes in.
"Hi guys, like, how's everything going?" Yeah, that's cool.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
funny.
And so what are you doing, like, work-wise at the moment and in life right now?
So I just finished yesterday my
Yay.
diploma of ministry.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah. So Pastor KP now. I'm just kidding.
Wow.
Can you make up a
No.
name
No
name
titles.
tag, G?
Yeah. So I just submitted my last assignment yesterday.
Cool.
Come on.
Yeah.
done.
When do you hear back on that?
In a couple of weeks.
So what's that? What's that process? Is it done, or you get feedback and then that tells you?
Well,
where you're
I
going
just
from
get my
there?
grades back, but I doubt that I'll fail it. It was pretty easy assessment. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
And so what are you thinking next step?
I'm a bit of a workhorse, so I like to work.
Yeah.
So I'm looking for a job. So if anybody has a job, available for me.
Oh, cool. Plug. There it is. We'll put up an email after this and a phone number. Get in contact if you got something.
Yeah. So I love like working and just like keep moving. Moving.
Nice movement.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm looking for a job, whatever that looks like.
Cool.
In the next little while.
And where you are is not where you'll end up, right? So
yeah.
Just get moving.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
I agree. I always encourage people, just start.
Do something.
Yeah. And move from there.
Yeah. I just don't really have any expectations.
Cool.
Just,
That makes it easy, eh?
If you don't have any expectations, you don't get disappointed.
Yeah.
So
that combined with the drive, though, to do something is cool, because then when something comes up, you're like, yeah, let's roll.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, good. Cool. So what are we doing now? So no work at the moment?
No working at the moment. I just finished yesterday looking for jobs. Yeah, whatever that looks like in the next couple of months.
Cool. Is there something that you're like, I would like to jump into this?
My strengths are definitely admin, so anything admin based.
Oh, wow.
I would love to be a personal assistant. That would be awesome. So I don't know. I'm really open to anything.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's good.
On a track that got you here, Jesus.
Jesus.
Like he's obviously helped shape your decision making now. So Bible college, like you really obviously felt, I'd like to know more about Christ than that.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a little bit more about before that, like coming to that point of desire to follow him more and more.
Yeah. I was actually thinking about this on the way here. I think one defining moment of that was like the obedience to move to Canada. And I told someone one time that it was like I was living in a dome and I had one way of thinking, one way of doing things, and only one way of seeing God. And so when I was obedient to the call to move to Canada, it was like God had opened a door out of that dome. And then I was experienced to a whole new realm of like who God really is. Like there is so much to him. It's not just one face.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not two-faced, but I mean, do you know what I mean? There's so many like aspects to it. And that was probably like the biggest like shift in following Jesus.
Yeah, wow.
Have you always lived in Canberra?
Yeah.
So it probably did feel like a dome. Isn't there a movie about that? Like,
You think about Bubble Boy?
Bubble Boy.
No. You know that. Is Jim Carrey in that movie?
Oh, yeah. And,
everyone's watching him or whatever?
Yeah, all right. This is...
I don't know that movie.
Oh, are you kidding me?
This is what we have.
Oh, my gosh. When you
What is
said
it?
the whole dome thing, I'm like, oh, yeah, there's a movie. Jim Carrey's in it. Dome movie. There it is. What's that
The
called?
Truman Show.
The Truman Show. There you go.
Yeah. Have you seen that?
Does he live in a dome?
Yeah. And everyone's
I don't
an
think
actor.
I've actually seen that.
So that's literally it. He figures out that it is a dome and there's like the outside there.
Anyway.
Oh yeah, that's representation of me.
Yeah.
leaving Canada. Yeah.
Oh my.
Leaving for Canada.
God, there's more.
Yeah, I was just like, wow, okay.
That's cool.
It was really like a step from like being a baby Christian to, okay, now I'm like...
growing.
Yeah, I'm like a mature Christian. And I'm like, I can't like rest in the identity, I'm just a new Christian.
Yeah.
And like, I actually have to step up and know my stuff like now, because I'm being an advocate for those that don't even know Jesus yet. So do I know my stuff enough to support those that I'm moving to the other side of the world for, like, and bring them the good news?
It is a pretty amazing step. So you brought up in Canberra. That's all you knew?
All I knew. I had never left Australia either.
Wow. So your parents were in Canberra?
Yeah, so I'm raised in a single parent home. My mum was a teenage mom.
How old was she when she had you?
She was 19.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So we're only 19 years apart, which is kind of crazy because she's only like 40 something and I'm like 25.
Young.
I turn 25 next week. So
Come on.
so I was raised, I mentioned it briefly in my testimony, like I was already raised in a community because it was like my grandma, my pop, my auntie, my uncle, like his wives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not like in
the one time.
Oh yeah, separate times. One was like just a fiance.
Oh yeah.
And then one was a wife.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So like that community aspect wasn't foreign for me.
Cool.
I guess.
Is that sort of why you love the idea of community? Because you experienced it?
Yeah. And like we had, my pop used to be, do you know harness racing?
Is that where they sit on the
back?
Yeah, on that like carriage thing.
Couple wheels.
So my family were big harness racers. So I grew up in that community and I
like
used to race.
And oh, wow.
Yeah. So I grew up in that.
Wow.
And so that in itself is a big community.
Yeah, right.
And so I grew up going to the races every Saturday and all of my grandma's closest friends, they bring a potluck meal every Saturday.
Wow.
We set up a big table.
How cool is that?
And they're all like the wives of racers. They're all like all of this. So I already kind of knew the aspect of community.
That's your jam right there.
About.
That's your jam.
You raced this?
Yeah, I did. I was a lot younger.
Until how old? When was the last time?
I think I was like, my pop passed away when I was like 5. So I think, and then I raced, we still attended even after my pop passed away. So then I think I must have been like 10.
Wow.
Jeez.
Yeah.
You were under 10 and on the back of a horse.
Yeah, we don't race horses that big though.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that makes sense.
They are pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Did you ever do like competition? As a young
I
kid?
used to race every Saturday.
You get
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
you get
and
any
then
medals?
Yeah, and then we used to go like, shows like would it be called the Gold Coast Show here?
Yes. Yeah.
Like, and it's a big show.
Yeah.
And like, so we had the big Canberra show. So we would race there. We would go to the small country towns surrounding Canberra, like Yass, Murray Bateman, like all these little small towns, and we would race there.
Awesome. So this is quite your life growing up.
Yeah,
Went to school
and
then into the racing.
Yeah, and then I did horse racing I did horse riding outside of that. So I don't know, the horse community is like its own little thing.
Yeah,
like, do you know what I mean? Like
it's not like where we are now. That's like country, hey. And like you said, that's a real community. Everyone knows each other.
It's everyone knows each other. It's like small town country. Like everyone knows your business. Everyone knows what's going on.
See, I love that.
But don't you have to be like affluent to have horses and stuff? Like, was your family quite affluent, or your?
No, I think because my pop used to race.
Oh yeah.
Then he got into a really bad car accident, lost his leg and his arm, so he could never race again. But he was such a big influence in the community.
Wow.
So they made him the manager of the racing club.
Oh wow. Okay.
So good.
So, like, yeah. So after that, we sold all like horses and stuff like that. But I was like that kid, like everyone knew me.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I'm like the manager's like grandchild.
Like the pastor's kid.
Yeah, I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like Georgia Gray and Taylor Gray of Gold Coast Chapel.
Of the horse
and Miller and
racing.
Zach, sorry, I won't leave them out.
Yeah. Oh, cool. So when your grandfather had his accident, the family sort of pulled back from racing? Or
Yeah. My mum and that raced a bit, but they weren't really passionate about it, I don't think. So, yeah.
So you never met your dad?
No, never met my dad. So I think we lived together when I was like 1. I actually have this really weird memory because we lived in this area called Ngunnawal in Canberra. And I remember going back like when we were like 12 or something, when I was like 12. And I said to my mum, why does this place feel so familiar? And then my mum's like, oh, because we used to live here with your dad when you were like 1.
Oh, wow.
But I don't remember any of it. But I just remember that shopping centre. I'm like, oh, this feels so familiar. But it's not a shopping centre that I would have gone to otherwise.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you haven't met him?
No.
Yeah. Oh.
No. Yeah.
And then, how did the path, sort of help us join the dots for where you are moving to Canada? Like that was quite a significant.
So this is like a really God intervened story, because I finished high school and I was like popular. I was like the sporty girl, but I didn't want to be that anymore. So I'm like, I'm going to move to a completely different school where none of my friends are going. Because in Canberra, we do college separate. We do year 11, 12 separate, and we call it college.
Wow. A little bit of like America.
So you go to a different school.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm going to go to a completely different school where I know no one. And I really was getting into photography at that point. So I'm like, I'm going to go focus on my photography. I don't care about friends, whatever. But everybody was kind of like, go where your friends go, because it's like important.
Sure. Why would there be such a push away from the community or community?
I don't know. I think because I just wanted to create a new identity for myself.
Right. Okay.
Like, I loved high school. I really thrived in high school. And I was really upset to leave high school. But in that moment, I was also like, oh, I can reinvent myself.
Yeah.
In this moment.
Yeah.
So anyway, I go to a different completely college. That was a bust. Like, don't do that. But anyway, it was a bust because obviously I have no foundation in God. So I'm just like trying to reinvent myself in in myself.
On that note, at this point, is there anyone in your life that's an influence on that is walking the walk?
No.
None. No family, no friends.
No. I grew up not Christian. I grew up pretty open to it. Like, my cousins went to a Catholic school.
Yeah.
And I was one of my cousins. We're 9 months apart, and we were raised like sisters because my mom didn't work and her parents had to work. So she lived basically at our house.
Nice.
So
right.
I was always with her. So she had her confirmation and stuff like that. So I knew of Jesus, but I didn't know Jesus.
Wow. And very little influence.
Yeah. So I went to Catholic church, and that's about my only reference.
Yeah.
And no one stopped you, no one said to you, don't go to a brand new high school without your friends?
No, my mum has always been very supportive.
Oh, okay. So you just said, I'm just going to...
Yeah, so I said to my mum, I want to go to a different school and experience this. I want to go somewhere that has a great photography program. And she was like, yeah, cool, do it.
Cool.
My mum has always been really great like that.
Awesome.
Cool. This is 15? 16?
No, I would have been, 16, turning 17.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so I go to this new school. I then suffer with a bunch of anxiety because I don't know anyone. I'm trying to make friends. Everyone else is already friends with everyone because they've moved from their high schools. Loved the photography program though. It was awesome. But it wasn't enough for me to stay because it wasn't my only class. So I still had to go to
math,
science. Actually, English. Math was fine because I actually thrived in math, but English. Oh. And I had a horrible teacher, and she was really not that nice. And that just made my anxiety more and more. So then I had the same thing in third grade. And I didn't go to school for 3 months. And my mum was like, no, I'm pulling you out of this school. We're going to a different school.
Right.
So then I kind of had that moment again where I'm like, I don't want to go to school. My mum is traveling 20 minutes every day to pick me up because I don't want to catch the bus because I'm terrified of catching the bus.
Wow.
All of this stuff. So my mum was like, okay, maybe rethink this decision. It was great that you experienced it, but what do you want to do now? What's the next step? And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to the college that's near our house and that has all of my friends.
Right.
So this point, I did make a few friends at my other college, which was great. They were great for the time. They were all actually part of the LGBT community.
Yeah.
So that was an influence that I was kind of getting into, I guess. Then moved to the college that is near me and instantly released of all anxiety because I'm I have friends, things like that. Like I actually enjoy going to school. All of that, like my teachers are actually fantastic.
Right.
Yeah. So
no photography program?
No, I did.
Okay.
And then it was funny because the school that I went to was like a school that had just opened. So I was the first year.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah, cool.
Right. So all of their, like, everything that they had was awesome. But then I went to this school and they did film photography, and that's when I found my passion for film photography, which the new school didn't. Because I thought my passion was in digital, but actually my passion is in film.
So the first school that you went to...
High school.
The first college sort of one.
Yeah.
So that was the first year.
Yeah, we were the first year.
Yeah, okay.
So we would have been the first graduating year.
Yeah, okay. And then when you changed was the one where the anxiety sort of eased off. Your friends were there. What school was that called?
Lake Ginninderra.
Okay.
Represent. Any of the great athletes you see from Australia went to that school.
Are there some?
Yeah, do you know Dante Exum? He plays basketball.
No.
I'll say yes to add value to this. Yes.
Yeah. No, because we're attached to the AIS. So that school is attached to the AIS. So anyone that has like prospects of being a great athlete in Australia obviously goes to the AIS, but they have to go to college, so they go to the college that we're with.
I don't know how do you spell his name?
Dante.
DAN.
Or DAN.
Yeah, that just came out.
Exam. EXAM. Oh yeah, UM. Yeah, him.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, he played... No way.
Yeah, so he was in my grade.
No way.
The Cleveland Cavaliers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was in...
Yeah, I went to school with him. He was in my grade.
Sorry, I just mispronounced that. So can you just correct me on that? Is it the Cavs?
Yeah.
I said it right, Cavaliers? Yeah. Oh, cool. Thank you. No, so you knew him.
Cool.
Yeah, so so I went to that school. I did drama because I loved drama. And then I'm getting to the story point of Jesus.
That's good.
So I joined the drama team, and at that point my friends had already, like, my friends were the sporty people, like, because that's just what we were in high school. And then, so I joined all the art programs, which wasn't great for my ATAR, but that doesn't matter. So I do drama. They're having a musical, and the drama teacher's like, "Can you act in it? Like, just be in the
extras."
Yeah, they've got a specific word for it, but I don't know. I was gonna say entourage, but that's not right.
No, that could work. If there's a main person, you're the main person's entourage.
Yeah, no, they call it
they call it... Yeah. Oh, I can't even remember what they call it, but I was that.
Our director should know, just quick glance.
No.
She doesn't know.
Anyway, so I joined that, and I loved it, like, thrived in it. I was, like running all the props, like,
awesome.
Painting props, like making the props, like, doing all that, and then I was acting in it, which was, like, awesome. Then I made 3 friends in that. Oh, I made friends with everyone, but 3 friends in particular that I hung out outside of school. And they all went to church.
Wow.
And they all went to the same church.
Nice.
So then...
Which was?
Life UC, Life Unlimited Church.
Awesome.
In Canberra. And then one of them was worship leading, and he said, "You should come. Like, I'm worship leading this weekend. Like, you should come to church." Then I was like, yeah, cool, because I had always kind of been open to faith. Didn't really have anything against it. Like, my family wasn't, like, against faith. They just didn't know anything. So go that Sunday, then I meet everyone. Then, just fell in love with the community. And that's what I was saying in my testimony on Sunday. Like, that's what kept me going to church. Like, I didn't have this crazy encounter with God. Like, he didn't part the clouds and struck lightning down on me. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, but it was just through the love of his community that I kept staying.
At this point, are you still connected with the harness racing community and the sort of...
No, not at that point.
Okay, so you've sort of gone off on your own a little bit.
Yeah, so after there was like a lot of drama with my family, and then my grandma was like, "We're just not going to that anymore."
Yeah.
And I was like, cool.
Sounds a little bit like church sometimes.
Yeah. So we just followed my grandma's lead in that. So
yeah, cool.
Yeah. Then I was in netball by that point. So I was heavily into netball.
Wow, come on.
Yeah. So then I started going to church, and that was like the next part of my life. Then I got into that really bad relationship, like maybe 6 months later.
How old were you?
I was 17. It was like the week of my birthday, so I was 18 basically.
And it was with a young dude, same age.
He was like 23.
Oh, okay.
22, 23.
And a part of the church.
He was part of the church. Yeah.
Was he pretty heavily involved?
Nah. He was like more on the outside group.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but that's like who I became friends with, because I was obviously hanging out with him all the time.
Yeah.
So that was my friend. So that was like a big challenge. Like when we kind of ended things, that to make new friends. And that's like where Ben and Emma really stepped in and like just forced me into like groups, like the group that they were already bringing up and discipling, which is the group that we went to Canada with. But it's funny because I was like obviously very emotional, and I was very like, didn't care about anyone. So they all hated me because I was like just rude and a bad volunteer, really. I don't know if you can be a bad volunteer, but that's what they tell me, that I was a bad volunteer.
But was the tension hard? Like,
yeah,
like inside you're living this way, away in a relationship that you know is not healthy. You've said that, but then there's these people that are loving you, even in stuff.
Yeah, it was
like,
hard.
How does that, did you feel a pull all the time?
Yeah, I felt a great amount of guilt because I think it's like you see it so regularly in like sin, like people just live in this constant cycle of it, and it's so hard to break it. But like I'm like testimony that you can break it.
Come on.
But so even though Ben and Emma were like, follow us, like we'll help you, and they taught me the ways, I was still stuck in that cycle. So even though we had separated, and he had blocked me for a short period of time after like the miscarriage and everything, it was like we were so emotionally attached to each other, like because that's what happens when you have sex out of marriage, right? And your foundation is not in God. Like you're each other's whole world, because your whole, like your identity becomes the other person.
Right.
Right? So even a couple weeks after that, he then was like I can't live without you kind of thing.
Oh, so he did come.
Yeah, so he came back, and we obviously then in this weird cycle again where we're like sleeping together, not sleeping together.
Were you his first partner that he was intimate with? Okay.
Oh, no. I don't think so.
All right.
No, actually no. Yeah.
Okay.
And I wasn't the last,
So I'm interested in the how you were feeling and your thoughts, if you can remember, because you're fairly new Christian.
Yeah.
You got amazing people, you know, trying to pull you in to be a part, go deeper in the community and relationship, and become a better servant.
Yeah, better volunteer.
Better volunteer, that's the one. Become a better, to not be a bad volunteer.
Yeah.
And then so you recognised the pull, I think Marsha was saying before. So because I think there's young people that probably listen to this that'll be maybe experiencing a similar thing. They've got people around them that are like, come this way, but they're, you know, also pulled in a direction. So do you recognise that there was a...
Yeah, I think you can't really ignore it, especially if you're like, you just live in an immense amount of guilt, and you live in an immense amount of like stress, and you live in an immense amount of like anxiety, because you're like, I know, because at that point I was like I should have known better anyway, but like he would tell me things like, it's okay, everyone at church is sleeping together, and I'm a new Christian, right? So like I just take any information that's given to me. So and this is why I'm a big believer in like, you got to know your stuff. Like you got to know the Bible. Like you actually have to read that, and you actually have to memorize that, because I'm like, people will twist the truth. Like it happens all the time. Like that's the enemy's only play. Like he will twist the truth. So do you actually know the truth? Do you know what God is telling you to do? So yeah. So we're in that emotion was very difficult. But
how long did that last?
Oh, not long. Maybe like 2-3 months.
Oh, that's good. And then was it? Do you just sort of decide to make a complete break? Do you just sort of say?
I actually can't remember how it
Right.
officially ended. It probably ended up like Ben just being like what the hell are you doing?
Right.
And I was like, okay, Ben, yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I actually can't remember how that ended.
And so where did you find that anchor in Christ? Like where did that sort of shift?
Yeah, so after that, like I was pretty like messed up, like emotionally.
Right.
I felt a lot of freedom though, like after it, and I got not thrown in, like I got asked to join the youth team, not to do like, I wasn't really as a leader in there because I wasn't in any place to lead youth.
Just helping.
But yeah, that experience, actually me going to youth, because I had never experienced that as a teenager, actually gave me all my foundations.
Right.
Because I was like 19. I had no foundations in God really.
When it ended, you're 19.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Or maybe just turning 20.
Okay.
Yeah. So then had no foundations in God, so I joined the youth team.
Wow.
And then that's where I let everything. So even though I was like team and I was just helping set up chairs and I was helping cook the food for the youth, I was actually learning along with the youth.
Yeah, right.
About how to about faith and more about Jesus, and that's where that really twisted.
Wow.
So then probably a year after that, I stepped up into leadership.
Did you find it quite healing that time?
Yeah.
Just being around people and just...
Yeah, and I think like that was really important. I'm obviously like, yeah.
Because you're an extrovert, sort of introvert.
Oh, back then I was massive extrovert.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So I just needed to be around people. Yeah. And that was like the only way that I was really going to recover. Yeah.
That's a lot. I think people don't generally understand that about serving as well, that it's not about it's a journey as well, like growing and learning, because similar for me with youth, I was learning a lot as I went, you know. Sometimes I was like, man, who is letting me do what I'm doing right now? Why am I here?
Well, it's just all about accountability as well, right? Like I was accountable to Ben and Emma. Like nobody else knew what was happening with me.
Right.
Like it was just them. And that's why everyone was so frustrated with me, because they couldn't understand like why I was so emotional all the time, or like why I would say mean stuff, but like hurt people. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
So,
true.
I don't know. It's a weird situation because you're like, yeah, everyone that's like hurting should just serve. And it's like, yeah, you should, but like you need accountability in that. Like
That's key.
You need like someone like Ben and Emma stepped up for me. Like they stepped in the gap for me, and they recognized that that's what I needed. Not everybody's going to need that. Like some people are just going to need rest.
Yeah.
They came alongside you, right?
Yeah.
They didn't just set you on your way and go, this will sort you out. They came along and they're like,
yeah, definitely.
we're here.
Yeah.
And they're following you and they've got their arm around you.
Yeah,
I get that.
Yeah. And like, I'm so thankful for that. Like,
yeah, come on.
I guess people could see that as like, they're not really letting you make decisions for yourself or things like that. But I think that's just how I operate, and they recognize that over like, and like I said before, like I'm a workhorse. So if I'm staying home, like doing nothing, and then someone tells me like, don't know anything, and they're just being like, just get to know God deeper. I'm like, what does that even mean? Like, put me in action. Like, come on, like I'm here, use me.
Yeah.
So good.
You're learn by application as you go.
I'm the same.
Fall over, make mistakes.
Yeah. And I made a lot of mistakes.
Sure.
And that's what I'm also thankful for, because there was a lot of grace.
So Ben and Emma are really valuable people for you.
Yeah.
And did that sort of give you courage and strength to go to Canada? Like, and just step out of this dome of...
over that time, we obviously grew closer. And I just like became part of their life. just a piece of furniture in their life, I guess. Yeah, then I think the decision, like 2 weeks before they told me they were moving to Canada, I was having like this thought. I was like, oh, Ben and Emma are so ready to move on. Like, they're ready to do their own thing. But I really thought it was just going to be in Australia.
Right.
And I was like, perfect. Like, I was like, perfect. Like,
so you never owned a passport?
yeah, no. I was like, perfect. Like, I can just defer my uni degree to that local university, because I was studying at this point too. So I left college. I was going through all this stuff, and I was studying a degree.
This is still film.
No, I was studying. This is a whole other story. I was meant to go to art school.
Right.
I got accepted into art school, and then everything inside of me was like, don't go to art school. So I was like, what the hell? Like, this is like everything I worked for. But I listened to that voice and then didn't go. And then I decided to do teaching because everybody told me I would be a good teacher.
Yeah.
But I don't think I wasn't really passionate about it.
Right.
I only have half a degree in it, so I think that explains if I'm passionate about it or not. But yeah, so 2 weeks before exactly, I'm having this conversation. I'm like, oh, like Ben and Emma are so ready to move on. They're ready to do their own thing. And then I was just like making this whole plan in my head. I was like, perfect. Like, I'll still be close to my family. Like, I get this cool adventure of like living out of home, like being a part of something else, like all of this stuff. And I'm like, I can just do my uni degree there, like everything. So then I make this promise to God, basically, that I'll go.
Come on.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, he'll call you out on it.
Yeah, I know. So I've made this promise in this moment. I'm like, yeah.
Wherever they go, I'm going to go.
I'll follow them.
Queensland, wherever.
Yeah. So like
South Australia.
Yeah. But because they're so good at revamping things and like refreshing things. And
Tasmania.
That's what they've always done with like the programs they've taken over, like the ministries they've taken over. Like they've just given new life and like refreshed it. So I was like, yeah, so they're gonna do that for a church in Australia, right? Anyway, 2 weeks exactly, they sit me down. They just bring me into their car, and they're kind of like nervous laughing because they've told 2 people before me and they've just ugly cried, like bawled. They're like, what the hell? Like, why are you leaving me? So they're kind of like anticipating me to just like cry. And so they sit me down. They're kind of like, they're so awkward. And I'm like, what? And they're like, oh, Ben and I are moving to Canada. And I'm like, oh, why? Because we're going to start a church. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like,
oh my God.
Take me now, Jesus. I was like, I'm not moving to Canada. So I go into shock because I know that I've made a promise to God that I'm going. They don't know that.
You done messed up.
Yeah, I know. So don't make any promises to God if you don't want to do it.
Stretch me, Lord.
Yeah, so then I've just gone into shock. So I haven't cried or anything. And they're kind of just like looking at each other like so confused. They're like, is she going to blow? Like, what's going to happen? And I'm like, my first reaction is like, wow, that's so cool. Like, I'm so happy for you guys. I was just like really happy. Like, I was really happy for them because I already knew like 2 weeks before that they were ready to move on. Which was weird because there wasn't anything that showed that they were ready to move on. If anything, they probably would have been ready to like open a campus for Life You See, or do you know what I mean? Like,
or like you thought, stay fairly local.
Yeah. So I was super excited for them, and they kind of went into shock because I didn't cry. Then Emma looked at Ben, and Ben was really confused. And then Emma goes, "You're so coming with us." And I was like, no way, don't be silly. So then 6 months, I try to fight this like promise that I've made. I'm like, no.
So from that date to them leaving, six months?
6 months before I like confirmed.
But they booked their tickets.
Yeah, they had already planned. They were leaving in May 2017.
And when they'd told you was?
6 months from December.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, so and then that time at Life You See, event period is crazy, and Emma looked after events. So I was helping a lot with events, just like usual, like every year. We have like the thank you party, all of this lots of events, carols, the Christmas production, everything. So we're spending a lot of time together. And I'm obviously just making natural conversation about Canada. I'm just asking like, oh, what are your plans? Like also to low-key suss it out because I'm like,
I'm coming.
do you have a plan for us? Like, are we just like going and just winging it or like what's happening? And they let me into a lot of things like Ben showed me I was one of the first people to see the website. Like, so they let me into little things even though I hadn't confirmed that I was going.
Yeah.
Then it was like the week of Christmas and Ben calls me and he's like, you need to let me know if you're coming to Canada by the end of the week. And I was like, what? Like, what do you mean? He's like, just let me know if you're coming to Canada. Because I'm obviously asking questions. I seem curious.
For sure.
Yeah.
Things like that. So
And you hadn't told them at this point, or him or Emma,
no,
that
I hadn't
you'd made a deal.
I hadn't told anyone because I'm trying to get out of this. I'm
waiting
like,
for God to be like, I'm changing
like,
my...
God,
Yeah.
good joke.
No,
Like,
he'll forget it. God will forget.
Yeah.
He'll just
He knew I wasn't serious.
God's a funny guy. Like, I know he was just pulling a practical joke on me, you know? So I'm like, I'm still waiting for our church in Australia. Where is this? So then that week of Christmas, I go over, give the kids the presents, give Emma, Ben a present, and then in the card, I was writing this card the whole week, and I'm like, do I do it? Like, do I go? Like, do I not go? And so at the end of the card, I wrote, will you take me to Canada with you?
Oh, how
and
awesome.
then, so they open the present, Emma reads the card, she's like crying, like, she's coming with us. And at that point, Emma and I were really close too. So, yeah, and I was like, I helped a lot with the kids at that point too. So I was like, I would like to say I was a big part of their family, which
You were.
Yeah, I think so, absolutely.
You are. Yeah.
And so, and then Emma's like, she's coming. And then Ben's like, yeah, I know. And I was like,
So
I know it all.
And you were there for nearly 3 years before you came back here.
oh, yeah, like 2.5.
2.5.
Yeah.
Oh, how cool.
So then I couldn't tell anyone for a while because we had to get signed off from the board that we were leaving, like signing out of leadership from Pastor Sean to Pastor Ben. Then we left in May 2017.
I remember that.
Yeah, came up to the Gold Coast.
That's it. So
Came
and
to
then
Gold Coast Chapel and all we knew was to stack chairs and just serve. And Marshall's like, stop it. What are you doing? Just rest. And we were like, we don't know how to do anything but stack chairs.
I like your robot arms way of doing that. Then.
Thanks.
yeah.
So, what I'd like to know before this is out is, and I've got a photo. I actually spoke to Emma this morning.
Wait, did you actually?
Yeah, legit.
Oh my god.
So, but those are just some of the things that obviously you've already seen this week. But I just would like to know, and I'm hoping this photo might lead us down that path. But or this would add to the story as well. But what's been some things, like maybe a thing or a couple things that have been really difficult for you to overcome in your walk? Maybe probably those are in Canada. Some things that I was just talking away from the microphone then. Sorry, guys. What's been some challenging things that you've really had to overcome, that you've had to look in and
Do I get to see the photo first?
Yeah, you can have a look, because this might lead to the story or not. But apparently this...
Oh my gosh. I remember this day. This is a day that... Okay, so Emma went through the stage where we had to go on a hike every Tuesday and Thursday morning.
Wow.
Tuesday and Thursday?
Yeah,
These
every
Bear
Tuesday and
Grylls.
Thursday morning. Look at me. I look so holy. I'm
Yeah,
just deep
you
in
are.
thought. I'm in
Oh,
conversation with
Lord.
God right there, guys.
Yeah. Help me, Jesus.
No, Emma started this thing where we had to go on hikes every Tuesday and Thursday morning. And so it would only be like a 5K hike. But this day, we went on a 15K hike.
Wow. How good.
Jeez. In terrain like that?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Without knowing that we were then going 15Ks. So in the last 5Ks, I trip on the tiniest, stupidest little rock and I rolled my ankle.
Oh.
So then I had to walk the last 5Ks back to the car. So I finally get back. Emma's gone.
Man.
So I'm sitting.
Did she bail on you?
She bailed because she was nervous because she had to get the kids to school. And Ben was like, where the hell are you? Because we were meant to be gone for like an hour, but we've gone for like 3.
Is this a proper rolled ankle? Because rolled ankles suck.
Oh, yeah, my ankle was like, I still suffer, like it still flares up sometimes, but it was like this big.
Yeah.
And this is like some of my final weeks in Canada.
Wow.
So.
There you go. The hand there. The hand there. That captures it for me. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah. This isn't even like, this is probably like 5Ks in. I'm like, how much more do we have to go?
That's good.
I love that you shared about anxiety. I think that's a massive thing for young people, or not just young people, everyone at the moment.
Yeah.
It's I feel like in the last 10, 15 years, anxiety is just crippling a lot of people, and a lot of people that you would look at and think are confident, amazing people. So the story when you changed schools and how that crippled you from going to school. You didn't even want to get on the bus. You didn't want to do that. Do you deal with any of that now? Are you overcoming any of those sorts of anxieties now?
Nah, no, because I actually really learnt Psalm 46:10, be still and know that I'm God.
So good.
And so just practicing that practice is like being a lifesaver, because in anything now, I just have to know that he is God.
I love that.
Right? Actually, Ben preached a message about it the other day, and he's like, to know God is to know joy. They're not separate. And so by the act of being still and knowing God, you know joy.
Yeah, come on.
Nice.
And it's not that you know of God, it's like you actually have to know God. So then what are you wrestling with that is stopping you from knowing God, when God's just told you to be still and rest in him?
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's been a big part of everything. I've had moments, definitely, like I got chased by a bear in Canada.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Why would we not start with this?
That would have made me more than roll my ankle.
Yeah. So our first proper house that we rented, because for the first 6 weeks we lived in Airbnbs.
Yeah.
And there was 6 of us living in Airbnbs, and we lived in 2-bedroom Airbnbs.
Wow.
So it was so there was only 2 girls, me and Rachel was recently married. And they couldn't even sleep together because she had to stay with me.
Yeah.
Because we were the only girls. And so we would have to stay in a bedroom, and then the boys would just be displaced across the whole house. But yeah, so our first proper house, move-in day, I was in charge of the kids, and especially Eden. And it was really hot, and we lived up in the mountains, in the forest. And so we had our house like mansion style house, and it's backed in forest, and you've got this cute little archway and a pathway that leads down to this creek, and it's so mysterious and novel and
fit for a bear.
Yeah, so it's really hot, so I take Eden down there.
No.
And so we're playing in the we're playing in the creek, and we're just having a good time. It's hot, the water's nice.
Are you
whatever.
doing the salmon?
Yeah, not really. I'm just mainly holding Eden. She was only 9 months at this point, so I'm just holding her in the water.
Like a big salmon.
Yeah. And then in the corner of my eye, a bear jumps into the creek.
Oh my gosh.
Is this a proper big bear?
Okay, it was just a baby bear, black bear.
That's cute.
But what you later don't know is that if there's a baby around, there's a mother around.
Oh, never far
and
away.
they are so aggressive.
Yeah.
They're really aggressive, mother bears. So
I'm a little bit anxious, even though you're alive.
Yeah, so I see it. It hasn't seen me yet. And I'm like, okay, what do I do? What the hell?
You run,
I'm
girl.
thinking in my head. No, because they tell you not to run.
Leave
you're
the
meant
baby.
to be bigger than the bear, and you're meant to be whoa, bear. Or something like that. I don't know what you're meant to do. I still don't even know what you're meant to do.
What did you do?
Yeah.
So I pick up Eden.
Yes,
and
good
then
call.
I was on the opposite side of the creek, so I had to cross the plank.
Oh, wow.
Take this offering bear.
Yeah, so I'm in the middle of the plank, and I turn and the bear
No.
has turned its head and we've locked eye contact.
No.
And I'm like, oh, this is the end. And then I'm like, so at that point I start running, and then I just hear up the creek like.
Oh, wow.
Oh, man.
Then,
Did you turn back? No.
No. I
Don't
just
turn
ran.
back.
So I was in shock. So I'm trying to run up the stairs, fastest I've ever run, by the way. And then I'm like, okay, Eden is my priority here because there's no way I'm letting a baby die. So I'm like, do I throw her into the bush? So this is the thoughts. These are the like thoughts I'm having. Do I throw her into the bush, or does that then let the bear
Free
does the
snap
bear then go
for the baby.
like change direction and then go for the baby?
Wow.
Or I'm like, or do I just lay down
No.
and hope I don't suffocate Eden? Like, this is what I'm thinking. So then I get up the stairs and I just scream and I'm like, Emma! And then I hear the bear change direction. And that was like the most like
the scream
yeah.
deterred the bear.
Yeah. And I was just like in total panic mode, and I still ran up. And Emma thought we were having fun. She was like, oh, I thought you guys were just having fun.
Oh, wow.
I was like, no, I just got chased by a bear and you were nowhere to be found.
If you go down to the woods today.
So the last time I probably experienced anxiety was like I had a crippling fear of bears and cougars, because
rightly
cougars
so.
used to live around our house too.
Yeah.
You don't want that.
And to catch the bus, you had to go into the forest and down the forest
Oh, that's
to catch the bus.
weird.
So that was like probably the last time I really experienced
Wow.
anxiety and that could
KP,
be-
Yeah, that's sort of fair enough.
yeah.
it's been awesome having this chat with you.
Oh yeah, I loved it.
It's been great.
Sorry.
And thank you for expounding a bit more on your journey. It's been great to see, you've made great decisions and learnt along the way, and
Yeah,
there'll be plenty more, I'm sure. But
definitely.
We love you, man.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming in.
Appreciate it.
So good.
We will
Best
see you
guest
soon.
of the day. Thank you.